Dear friends, to Kardec Radio, here we are in Lifting Hope. Yes, these are therapeutic conversations based on a book, Memoirs of a Suicide, a book that was brought to us through the medium Yvonne Pereira. The spirit author is Camilo Botelho, and Leon Denis also helped with bringing about a book that is so comprehensive in details, so transformative that it can change our lives, right? Welcome, dear friends. As we are here, we're going to start a new chapter. And this chapter brings all the more hope to us because it talks about the preparation for a reincarnation. Let us think it for ourselves. How was our preparation before we reincarnated here? Any idea? Let us think about this. Before you reincarnated, how do you think the reincarnation happened for you? The preparation for it all. Was it easy? Was it difficult? Do you have a feeling about it? Why am I asking this if we may not remember, right? Because when we study ourselves, we can almost grasp what happened before it. Yes. If we really study ourselves, as Kardec says, our instinctive tendencies, we're going to see signs in our lives of how we were prepared to be here. We can tell where we need to focus, which parts of us, our main imperfections to be refined and transformed into virtues. And we can tell the relationships we need to focus upon and the areas in which we need to pay close attention not to fail again. Because when we go to the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, when he asks what reincarnation is all about, they say, to redress previous mistakes, previous choices. So we are here in this very current reincarnation to do things differently, like we haven't done before. So think about it. How we're going to do something different if we're still in the same old chain of responses to old stimuli, right? Remember Pavlov the dog? Yes. And Pavlov was researching about the digestive system. He was pairing up the ring of a bell with meat. The ring of a bell, meat. The ring of a bell, meat. And observing the salivation pattern. And then he learned something in our physiology, conditioning. When he stopped ringing the bell, when he stopped showing the meat, just by hearing the bell, which was paired up beforehand, the animal started salivating. We are conditioned beings. That's great. It's to our advantage. The problem is when those conditionings don't serve a good purpose any longer. We need effort and repetition to create new habits. That's why in question and answer 685 of the Spirit's book by Kardec, he says that the true education is the moral education when we acquire new habits. Right? Right? So welcome to Kardec Radio, because we are talking today about preparation for a reincarnation. It's almost poetic. Preparation for reincarnation. Right, Carol Correa? I can see you here. I see John De Rosa. I see Paula. Hello, Paula. Hello, John. Hello, Andrea Cosley. How have you been? I see Teresa Castro. Big hug to you, Teresa. I see Sol Souza. What a joy. I see Daisy Gallen. Hello, Daisy. I see friends coming in, and I apologize if I'm not seeing everybody who's coming in, but don't mind it. Join in. Get into this bus of learning because we're going to travel to a specific part of the Institute, Mary of Nazareth, the Reincarnation Word. Chapter 12, Preludes to Reincarnation. Do you remember Camilo? Former suicide spirit. I say former because I don't like to say, oh, suicide spirit. You know, he did it no longer, but he's in rehab now. He, Mário Sobral, Belarmino, all are allowed to tour in the Institute, in the Hospital Mary of Nazareth, in its different sectors and wards, learn about it all. Now, he enters the Reincarnation ward. Do you remember when Jesus said to Nicodemus, truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he's born again. You should not be surprised at my saying you must be born again. Yes, we know it, and we accept it, and here we are. So the reincarnation sector was located at the far end of the Mary of Nazareth correctional colony. So it's a colony, there is an institute, the hospital, different buildings. We're talking about the reincarnation ward, which is in bordering regions that are considered spiritual educational zone. Okay? This important service center was comprised of the following interdependent departments: Department of Seclusion, Department of Analysis, Department of Recapitulation Planning, Department of Research, Department of Physical Body Planning, and 6th Reduction Laboratory. Mamma mia, and people think reincarnation is just like that. This book, if we could say, one of the most beautiful things that we learn in this book, Memoirs of a Suicide, is how loved and cared for we may be, and we are. We're so thoroughly cared for, embraced, prepared. And I can't forget that in the book Genesis, Allan Kardec mentions to us about God and says, if good parents do everything for their children, imagine God. God loves you. God loves me, but He loves us in ways we cannot even imagine. And He takes care of us in minute details. And this is one of the things that we will confirm in this part of the book. Right, Melissa? Right, Raquel Bakesh? Big hug to you, friends. Join us at Cardiac Radio. So, in this reincarnation ward, there are different sectors, departments, and female workers. He observes, Camilo, that a large part of the personnel devoted to the reincarnation ward were spirits that had risen in the spiritual hierarchy by taking on female bodies. Unbelievable, huh? Why does he highlight that? Why is that important to know? Why? Being a mother, I can share with you. Before I had Virginia, I confess, I thought that I knew what motherhood was about. I used to say, oh, in previous lives I was a mother. I know what it is. But when I became a mother in this life, the the experience is so fresh in front of us, in my face. And I'm like, oh my, now I know what it is. Or I'm learning. Being a mother, when you gestate the baby in your own body, you change. Your physiology changes. Your anatomy changes. You're not the same person before and after. Even if you do plastic surgeries, work out, we're not talking about statics. We're talking about the overall experience. You're never going to be the same. And when you understand the responsibility of being a mother, that baby needs you at every breath when the baby is inside of you. When the baby come out, I remember having this feeling because I love driving. I feel so much freedom when I'm driving, going places, that I remember having this feeling, oh my gosh, I cannot take my car and drive freely because I have to come back here in 3 hours to breastfeed Virginia. I felt myself for the first time like a tree. Believe me. I was like, oh my gosh, right now I have to stay put. I can go place because I was breastfeeding. I'm talking about the first months because I breastfed her for 2 years. When she stopped it. But in the first week especially, it was so new. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to breastfeed her every 3 hours. Hoping that she's going to be well during those 3 hours in between breastfeeding. And I realized now I became a tree, can't go anywhere. And then I recall Thich Nhat Hanh talking about the beauty of doing this mindful meditation on breathing and feeling yourself like a tree. So I started like, breathing in, I am a tree. Breathing out, I feel complete. And so many things. And I remember, and I'm going to share something with you. And I remember that at first, it started bleeding because the baby sucks with a lot of strength. Each and every moment that she was being breastfed, the blood came out and it was very painful. I had my mom and my mother-in-law to help, and they said something that I didn't know would be possibly occur. And they said, stay strong because it's gonna pass. And I remember it took 2 weeks maybe? Every 3 hours, I felt like as if a knife was coming through. I used a special mediumistic cream that we call Pomada do Vovô Pedro to help out, and I didn't give up, thank God, thanks to the good spirits. But then it was so beautiful because when it passed, it was a beautiful continuation of it all. And I say, being a mother, and I'm just telling you a little bit of it, but just to say for those who know it, you have your stories. In previous lives, we all have our stories, no matter if we have children in this life or not. But now, going through a little bit of it, we understand why in the reincarnation department, in this correctional colony, they need a lot of female spirits. Because when you go through it, you understand the ins and outs of it all. If I am a father, it's not the same. It's precious, but it's not close to what it is being a mother. There is a book brought through Chico Xavier by several spirits named Mother. Hopefully one day we will translate it. This book dedicates all the messages by several spirits to motherhood. It's almost like a course because it's the most important mission you could ever have is being a mother. Though our society doesn't value it. But in the spiritual realm, in this colony, those who went through motherhood, they more likely will be prepared to help in this place as well. I'm just opening a parenthesis here, okay? He says that they were amazed by the busy hub with superb buildings in a refined Hindu style. The profound wisdom of legendary India appeared along those picturesque and enchanting avenues, inviting meditation, study, the lofty cultivation of spirituality, sacred things, and the destinies of the soul. It describes the buildings and everything dedicated to the redemptive cause of the Master of Jerusalem. Again, the combination of the wisdom of East and West, the Eastern world and the Western, together in true cause for humanity. Okay? They were very optimistic. They were guided by doctors Carlos and Roberto de Canalejas, who were father and son, and they entered the building and they introduced Camilo, Belarmino, Mário Sobral to Sister Rosalia, who was assigned to guide them within the building. Sister Rosalia was very kind, very loving, and she started explaining several things. They noticed the silence that reigned over their new sector, just as it had all the others that we had visited. As you see, no one sheltered in this institute as a temporary patient, needing to recapitulate his experiences, can do so without first staying in our sector for a period that varies from 1 to 2 years, depending on their condition, before any measures are taken that have to do with the new body that they will animate on earth. After receiving the needed approval from the temple for their intended reincarnation, okay, which received previous approval from higher realms, okay, these spirits present themselves to the leadership of this sector and are taken first to seclusion, where information is registered concerning their upcoming reincarnation on earth, the boarding school, under the paternal care of their guides. After that, the technicians of the analysis department take over in order to study the patient's characteristic tendencies and conduct a meticulous psychological examination. Their soul, their being, their innermost folds of their conscience are scrutinized by these judicious servants of the Lord. Pause for a second. First of all, we don't reincarnate like that. Oh, I want to reincarnate, boom, reincarnate. No. Especially when we are in the condition of a suicide spirit. We first go to seclusion. We're gonna be there for a while, as they say here. Once they are in seclusion, right, they are registered concerning their next reincarnation. Then they go to analysis, and then spirits help these spirits understand their weaknesses, what they have to do, etc. Think of us. We're here, and in this reincarnation, how much work we have given to the superior spirits to be here today, right? Hello, Andrea Lemos. Hello, Rosalind Rosa. Hello, Alan Swift. Hello, friends. Hello. Yes, thank you, Alan. I just saw that you posted the beautiful meditation. You were in Plum Village. Mamma mia, that's beautiful. Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit. Yeah, and go on and on. It's so beautiful and so important. So, in the analysis, we're going to verify the characteristics, our tendencies. Question, assessment question for us, okay? If you stop right now, don't go on till the end, I'll tell you. Today, we're being asked to evaluate the top 3 tendencies, instinctive tendencies that we observe we have from the past. It doesn't mean they are bad. Could be good or bad. Okay? You want me to give an example? I'll give you an example. Let's say I like very much to play the piano. There's no pianist in my family. I love it. And I feel like a dream playing the piano. Where is that coming from? Not from this life. So mark it down. Let's say, now let's talk about the moral part of us. Let's say every time I see somebody who is not very eloquent, I become very impatient. There are people who are like this. They cannot listen to people that are not very eloquent. They are very impatient in such cases. It's a tendency from the past, because in previous lives, when we had money and so on and so forth, we didn't listen to anybody unless they had a good point and they were of good use to us. And now we repeat that authoritarian feature in my personality. Write it down. Okay? Can be good or bad. Now, once in that department, the characteristics, they do meticulous psychological examination on the person. But the only ones who will not go through this are the patients, the suicide patients from the mental ward. They reincarnate immediately after. They don't go through this process because nothing can be done for them except return them to the flesh. The reincarnation that is imposed on them is the true therapy, they are saying. But the beauty of it all is that this therapy, which is the reincarnation itself, made easier to bear by the prayers that are ministered to them daily in sympathetic, gentle, and beneficial currents emitted from here on their behalf. That's so beautiful. It's bringing our hopes to another level. You are here reincarnated. Can you imagine? I'm not talking about suicidal spirits only, huh? I am sure that you have people who know you, who taught you, who care about you, or in the spiritual realm, praying for you, not only trying to help, but emitting good vibrations to you daily. We can't take it for granted any longer. Today is the day in which I embrace that reality, and I am so grateful. And I pray back to them saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so joyful to know that we're cared for by beautiful minds. How do you feel about it? And these are suicidal minds who messed up pretty bad. And they go back to this reincarnation therapy but they are receiving beautiful vibrations. Unbelievable, unbelievable. So, the analysis now, okay, sorry, I just jumped the page. Okay. Once, says Sister Rosalia, once the analytical character study is complete, the technicians submit a detailed and highly precise report on their findings. The case is then sent to recapitulation planning. Okay? Once they evaluate the psychological aspects, the tendencies, they fill out the report, they send it to recapitulation planning. We need to plan what we need to recapitulate in the next reincarnation. From what I have told you, you can see that these analyses are indispensable, for they furnish the information necessary for planning the new existence. The merits, the demerits of the reincarnating spirit, his or her most serious past failures, the ones that need reparation the most, as well as any mitigating concessions that may be applied. They are established on this investigation. She says, I need to explain, however, that this highly important task is carried out in two distinct ways that require quite different modes of operation. On the one hand, the procedure is very difficult, to the point of demanding several attempts in a process that is torturous even to the operator, when those condemned to imprisonment in the flesh come from the lower zone of the colony, okay? Like the hospital departments, tower prisons. On the other hand, only a simple technical revision is needed when the candidates have been patients of the institute per se, that is, the regenerative place where the stages for re-education take place, and students of the school of initiation, where you yourselves will be sent before long. In either case, this endeavor is greatly facilitated by information provided by the temple and by the cooperation of the missionary guides appointed by the higher astral. Without their concurrence, absolutely nothing is attempted for the purposes of reincarnation. Once the reincarnated candidate's plan is drawn up and the outline of their expiatory, reparatory struggles is finished, in accordance to their moral endurance and strength, okay? Once the endeavors involved in their expiation are determined, in addition to any other accomplishment they may be capable of, and then they say once and once and once and once, they might run up against during the unfolding of their existence as just consequence of the merits due to their wrongful past. Okay? Turns out to be a beautiful piece of work when they really work alongside with the planners. These are cases in which adjustments are necessary. Okay? So, they talk about something here that is like the length of the trials, the concessions that they are going to receive, and they say more to us here. There are cases in which they have a concession of extended mercy, a decrease in the number of trials, putting off to distant future the solution of certain issues, or it may include an increase in the number of reparations over a short period of time, depending on the ward's abilities. But the temple will only give its approval in the later case after having received authorization from the higher realms. Nevertheless, since the penitents, missionary guides, and the technicians of the reincarnation sector are high-order spirits bearing profound knowledge and glorious inspiration serving the cause of human redemption, the plans they draw up are usually approved by the Legion's general government, which through the temple authorizes the preparation of the earthly physical body for the upcoming learning experience. the Legion's general government. So imagine Madam Mary, her top team, they are the ones who have to approve each and every reincarnation. Wow. Hmm? Wow. Super wow. For us, it's clear once again that the highest and loving hearts that care for the earth, they know you, they know me, they know all of us. There are people who are daily dreaming of being influencers. But it's so funny. The question is, do you observe that you are being influenced by the higher realms who want to guide and protect you and want all of us to move forward? And we are concerned about being an influencer. Who are we to be influencer? Right? I think we need to help ourselves in the new generation to tone it down and ask very humbly, how can I dream of being an influencer when I'm still learning, when I'm still redeeming myself? Who are the true influencers in our lives? Jesus is the top of them. We should reverse it and say, I want to be a follower instead of an influencer. I want to be a follower. I doubt if the high spirits are allowing us to use social media to make us become the sun in somebody else's life. I think they are training us. I think they are training us through social media to be tolerant with each other because there's so much diversity there, to be very patient, but to be responsible and to share the best, meaning being a follower of the number one friend, Jesus Christ. This is not poetic. We're not doing this for mere saying, but also to recalibrate ourselves. I see many people who are very sad daily, including children and teenagers, because they are not influencers in people's lives. And it's so sad that they think because of 2, 3 things that they have at hand, maybe beauty, power, money, whatever it is, they dream of being the sun in people's lives, and they forget that the only sun is God. And we're all gravitating around God. And when we're using this, it's for service, for connection, to fulfill the law of society on the earth, not exactly for us to be role models of things. We can share. And I love this word on Facebook, share, because that's what we do on earth. If we have anything good, we share. We're not the creators. We are not the innovators. The only innovator is God. I think when we feel that way, our anxieties drop, our self-esteem is raised because we're no longer putting unreal expectations in front of us and being sad at the end of the day for unachieved or unmet expectations, willing to be adored by people in our lives. That's not our goal. Like at Kardec Radio, each person who comes here is sharing. We're not influencers. Well, influences one another like you influence me and vice versa, but the goal is to share. To share, right? Disciple of Jesus, serving, right? Hello, Lisa Teles. Good to see you here. Rihanna, good to see you here. So, the beauty is that at some point, Bellarmino is asking Sister Rosalia if what they were experiencing or to experience in the reincarnation department was about fatalism. And her answer is so beautiful. She says, "No, my friend. Common sense states that the people cannot be ruled by the blindness of an abominable fatalism. Rather, you should understand that what you call fatalism is nothing but the effect of a cause that men and women themselves created by what they did in the past, while incarnate, living divorced from the good, morality, and duty, or while in the spiritual realm, when having strayed from the law, they became brutish in the darkness they have surrounded themselves with. Therefore, since reincarnation is a corrective measure, these states of things goes away once the cause, that is the evil on which the acts were based, is corrected. Likewise, the plans drawn up here regarding moral delinquents' futures do not include the little details, the daily activities that they will have to attend to due to the dynamics of earthly life, nor do they include the particularities necessary to reach the inevitable. We only include the major points, those that will constitute reparation, the critical incidents, the string of events they have to do with the logic of previous ones. That is the cause. Many people are confused when they talk about reincarnation planning because they think reincarnation and the planning is about minute details. No, it's about the draft of the main events. For example, Jerônimo Silveira, he went bankrupt, and due to the shame, he killed himself. In this next life, a major event, bankruptcy, is going to be repeated. That's it. Not that they outline how this bankruptcy is going to happen, but it has to happen. In a way, he has a magnet within for it because his conscience is going to attract the same scenario. Do you understand now the importance of mental programming, of affirmations? There are programs we have gone through and experiences in the past that now we keep bringing in this life. So we need to change it by affirming to ourselves, I can do it. When you're facing a challenge, tell yourself, I am a child of God. I know one day I'll be a pure spirit. I am capable of learning anything. Anything. Don't doubt it. And then you repeat to yourself, I am open to learning everything good. And then you unlock many doors that previous prejudices in you locked up. Okay? I am a child of God. I will one day be a pure spirit who knows everything about everything and who is loving and caring, compassionate. So now I started. Unlock. Click, 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 click. All the doors open for the learning experiences. That's going to boost your self-confidence. That's going to boost your feeling of immortal being beyond the apparent limitations of this life. And you should teach your children too. When they say, I'm not good at math, I don't like this, you say, what? You remember? One day you'll be a pure spirit. One day you're going to be excellent in math, in history, whatever you like. Well, it's inside of you. That learning is inside of you. It's not outside at the teacher's board on it. No, it's inside of you. Let us extract it. And they may be like puzzled, like, what do you mean? I don't remember anything. That's the point. Let's download it from your conscience now, shall we? You need to have this type of conversation with your children. It's spirit to spirit, as Professor Euripides Barçanufo used to say. Spirit to spirit. Okay? Talking to the child and saying, one day you'll be a pure spirit like Jesus. He knew everything about everything, including math, history, anything. So now it's your turn to bring that from within. Inside of you, there is a math genius that you haven't met yet. Come on, let's work on it and love it. Shall we? Yes? So you're giving more motivation to your child and to yourself. When you say, oh, I can't learn English. Oh, I can't learn Spanish. I can't learn French. Oh, seriously? It's inside of you. It's all inside of us. Okay? Okay. Next. What comes next? They're there learning this, that, and the other. And then, as they are entering an antechamber, whose doors were never locked, they observe a light curtain of a very fine sky blue fabric. The silence inside was impressive. The building so beautiful. Bouquet, now the highlight. Bouquet of the same flowers discreetly decorated the place, making it known that a feminine taste had inspired the ornamentation. Okay? And at the end of this building, okay, a woman of an indefinable age stood up immediately upon seeing us, and smilingly, kindly, she greeted us in a singular way. And then, of course, Rosalia introduced her affably, and we learned that this woman was a nun. She had snow white habit, which was beautiful, and she was there very humble, very noble, gracious and kindly. She invited us to rest for a few moments, offering each one of us one of her beautiful roses as she spoke with a smile. When I lived, secluded and silent, in the convent of Saint Maria, I raised roses in my spare time. That is, whenever this or that sick person did not require my services outside those isolation walls. That was the only pastime I enjoyed in the world during my last pilgrimage on its soil. I would talk to the roses and to the other flowers too. I understood them, I taught them, I cultivated them as beloved beings. I was entertained by them and confided in them. It's beautiful. She says, I didn't cultivate them for myself, she says. I did it for the whole community. I followed the norms established by Francis of Assisi and was convinced that there was no harm in doing so. Sister Celestina, next time you see a rose, you remember of Sister Celestina. She's adorable, and she says to Berlamino, okay? Because Berlamino was asking, do you really raise flowers here? And she says, it's so interesting. Why not? You can actually see the flowers, can't you? Why not raise flowers here, since the true pattern of life does not exist in the material world, but in the spirit world, which is enriched every day by the progress of each of its inhabitants. It's about good and beauty, okay? Good and beauty. You see that in all these chapters, flowers are always complementing the rehabilitating environment. Why are we highlighting this? Mentor Joseph always says, we need to reconnect with nature. And flowers certainly are, Joana de Angelis says, signatures of God. You bring them to your house, also recalling that the good spirits are always connected to plants and to flowers in a very therapeutic way. Okay? That's an exercise for us to soothe our souls as well. To soothe our souls as well. We thanked her for the roses, which seemed to glow and vibrate, imbued with unknown magnetic principles. We inhaled the subtle fragrance as Sister Celestina led us through the vast gallery held up by majestic columns. Okay? Everything very therapeutic. And she says, once people knew the reincarnatory plan for that life, okay, the time has come for patients of this colony to return to the learning experience of reincarnation in order to complete their commitments. Okay. They are in there surrounded with love and happiness to make them stay as comforting and refreshing as possible. Suicides usually are sad, inconsolable individuals whom nothing can make happy, knowing that they will soon have to return to the earthly arena under harsh conditions. So they are there in that department being prepared, cheered up, etc. And now a big parenthesis, and I will summarize to you because if I read it all, she says, once they reincarnate, during sleep time, the people in the departments in the colony of Miriam Nazareth, they bring those suicides for instructions in the spiritual realm, okay? Because sleep in the physical body will give them a relative freedom. They can even continue to come here to receive counsel, to be instructed, to be comforted by their former mentors. They will in fact do so because they are still under our assistance. They're still a ward of our institute. Reincarnation is nothing but another one of the resources we use for the education needed for their recuperation and return to the normal pathway of the glorious march of progress. Okay? All right. Now, these suicides, they not always get to know of all the details of their next reincarnation because by principle, they have so much emotional limitation to be overcome. Sometimes people cannot handle the truth, and suicidal spirits are just like that. So they are granted opportunities to know a little bit, not everything, but they have to help in the process, even the choosing of parents. We won't go any further in that aspect because in the next chapter you'll see cases of it, okay? But choosing a family, the environment, the parents, okay, are parts of it all and not necessarily easy because some people accept to bring these suicidal spirits to their family, others reject it. So it's not simple at all, at all. In this part of the chapter, they say that many of the parents who are being asked to be parents of suicidal spirits they have their own expiation to go through. That means that when we have a family member, especially if we're parents of a child who has certain issues, believe that the problem is not of the child alone, it's ours too. We're all together in this. Literally. Literally. Okay? So she says the first floor of the reincarnation ward was for spirits coming from the less sorrowful regions of the colony. The second floor of patients from the Mary of Nazareth Hospital who needed to reincarnate immediately. And the third floor for inmates from the watchtower, while the fourth floor was reserved for patients from the mental ward. Female interns had an identical arrangement but in a separate building nearby. So they were learning, observing with Sister Celestina, and now a highlight for us. That once they find the parents, okay, they prepare details of conception to the point that the womb of the mother is a continuation of the reincarnatory laboratory in the spiritual realm, a sort of temporary or emergency auxiliary of the reincarnation sector that is watched over by the technicians in charge of the magnificent endeavor by the spirit's guides. Think about abortion. They plan, conception happens, and we go there, kill. Complicated, huh? We need to spread out this information because people don't know it. That's why Jesus says, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. We don't, friends. That's why Emmanuel in the book Thought and Life said, we need instruction. Chapter 4. Without instruction, we don't know what else to do. We need to read. We need to read. We need a lot of effort on our side to make sure that we fulfill God's will. Okay. As the gestation progresses, the spirit's vibrations become more and more compressed. Its memories and vivid feelings from the painful dramas of the past become more and more deeply stored in the astral body, leading to forgetfulness imposed as an added mercy by the Supreme Legislator, who is aware of the misfortune that would rise if people were free to remember the true reasons why they have been born in miserable conditions. Upon entering there, something akin to a pre-agonic state commences in their anguished soul, something easy to understand in light of the constraint of all its faculties, mind, and vibrations. That such a state, extremely trying to any spirit, is truly odious to suicides because their astral body has been jolted by the shock of the violence of their act, and they will only find relief from it many years later, after the slow and natural loosening of the magnetic bonds that tie them to the physical body. So they start explaining to us that in that laboratory of reincarnation, they are working on the forgetfulness process. So when they reduce the paraspiritual side, it's as if you are zipping files, in a computer. When you compress files, that's what happens. Okay? Now they reached other areas when they saw in that new building other women who were working for the benefit of the suicidals who needed to go through the steps of reduction. Well, at this point in our conversation here, we're going to put a stop because in the next chapter, we're going to see cases in which that selection happens, the process of reincarnation. These are just some steps, as they say, the preludes to reincarnation. For you and I, it is very important not to take for granted this reincarnation. When teenagers look at the mirror and they do not like what they see, we need to teach them, since their belly, that this is such a precious life, such a precious reincarnation, that the details of our physical body were prepared carefully before we reincarnated. It's the best body we could have right now that we need. Not that we deserve, but the body that we need. So we need to love what we have in front of us. Well, Vanessa, it's so hard. I didn't like the cheek. I don't like my hair. I don't like this shoulder. I don't like that. Well, we need to make peace with it. Go to the book. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. There is a part of the chapter here, not the one of the diseases, about the bodies, the body parts. I will tell you which chapter this is. Chapter 14, the body. Okay, look at this. The body. Chapter 14. I listen with love to my body's messages. I believe we create every so-called illness in our body. So she goes through the head, the ears, and talks about what it represents in us. Look at the things you don't like too much. Go there and see what it means. And study yourself to see how that body part that you may not like the way it is actually your best friend helping you reharmonize yourself before God. Okay? Okay? Read it, because this part talks about the body parts, even the fingers, the arms, and the hands, and how they can be representations of ourselves in the physical realm, and how the things we dislike may be just a gift for us to succeed in immortality. If you say, Vanessa, you're speaking Greek, because it's Monday too late, but if you recapitulate tomorrow morning, if it's too late or when it's quieter, you see that it probably makes sense that when we're talking about building a new body for reincarnation, every single detail has a meaning. Read it, study it, and you know more about yourself. You'll be more empowered, making this reincarnation ever more successful. Why? Because you are a child of God. You are a child of God. You reincarnated to learn to do good to your body too, because your body is your friend. Okay, friends, let us wrap up with our prayer to Mother Mary. Right, Silvotero? Let us pray asking Mother Mary to help the suicide. Not that she doesn't know, but just to tell her, we know you're doing this. We want to join you. We want to share the good that is already in us. After all, we are children of God. All right? I'm playing the Ave Maria here so we can pray and feel the beauty of her envelopment. Beloved Mother Mary, your works are so immense, we cannot even imagine what it is in its depth. But we thank you for your loving devotion to the children of the earth, to all those who are anguished, committed suicide. We pray that they now, wherever they are, they feel the envelopment of your sky blue blanket of healing light, bringing them the warmth and new hope. As for us, allow us to ask that our loved ones also receive this loving treatment. Beloved Mother, thank you so much for the inspiration, for the love, for your care. Please count on us. And may all the ones who are incarnated thinking of suicide hear your words saying, "This shall pass, my child. This shall pass. This shall pass, my child. Trust in God, and everything will be fine." Feeling your loving care, we are committed to continue on our vigilance to be useful wherever it may be, and so be it. La da da, la da 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 da. Lifting hope. Oh yes, our hopes are ever more lifted up, right? Yes, because here at Cardiac Radio, we are always nourishing our souls. When we come back tomorrow, there is more nourishment. For now, let us take note of our instinctive tendencies, right? In the next 24 hours, studying ourselves with our guardian angels. They're going to guide all of us to find out what we've done in the past that is repeating today. Could be good or bad. Let us mark it down and be stronger. All right? So thank you, friends. Thank you for joining us. Until tomorrow, God willing.